You're listening to WFUT Factory Underground Radio here, broadcasting in Norwalk, Connecticut. My name is Tony Bacigalupo, and you are listening to the You Are Invited program. It's 5:05 p.m. on Wednesday, the 4th of June, and gosh, the weather does not suck.
Oh,
I am a fan of it. I am a fan of it. In the studio today, I have a dear old friend from way back, Bart Mroz, new resident of Norwalk.
I am. It's kind of crazy.
And I'm so thrilled to be able to catch up with you. So context for everybody who's tuning in, Bart and I were trying to find a time to meet. We were going to meet today, and we were going to meet after my show. And I said, let's just meet on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll catch up and
might as well.
Everybody catch up with us. So Bart and I met, I can tell you exactly when. It was September 1st, 2007 at the opening of Indy Hall, Philadelphia's first and greatest co-working space. And that was a special moment.
I know.
And so Bart, you were one of the early folks, one of the early forces behind one of the most iconic and beloved co-working spaces in the world. I was inspired to build a co-working space for many reasons, but in large part because of Indy Hall and the example that it set. And it continues to set that example to this day, coming up on 18 years in business, which is just incredible to think about.
Crazy, right?
So you were there for the earliest of days, for the before they opened the physical doors. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about your kind of context and your experience leading up to that, where, you got into community building and, and that became a thing for you. And so I guess let's start there. And then let's go from there. I want to talk about Indy Hall. I want to talk about your experience moving to Norwalk. Obviously, we skip a decade and a half in the middle there, but we can talk a little bit about everything in between as well. So tell me, first of all, where did you grow up? Where was home before Indy Hall world and all of that?
So I was born in Poland. Came to the States when I was 12 and grew up around Bristol. Like that was the Bristol, PA, just outside of Philly for obvious reasons. That's Philly's has fourth there. Go Birds. And then went to Temple, got a business degree, started working. My first job was in 2001.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Out of school. Actually, before that.
Pre or post 9/11?
Pre. I graduated in the beginning of 2001.
Yeah, got it.
Got a job working for a small firm. We did a whole bunch of work for security things for credit unions and banks.
Yes, of course. Hey, you know what?
I know exactly where I was on that day, my friend.
Oh my God.
Lost my job after that. But before that, in college, talk about community building and just building, organizations. I belonged to the Philadelphia Area New Media Association while in college, PANMA.
Yes.
PANMA, one of the longest, and I met a whole bunch of people that I still are friends with, partners with, those kind of things. One of the big new media organizations, and back in the day, that was it. That was the big thing. Mm-hmm. In New York, it was modeled after NYMA. New York had one too.
Yes.
It was New York Media Association, right?
Yep.
So it was kind of the first networking things of that world. Like it was networking, it was old school people, it was agencies, like it was people in that first version of that. Right?
Yeah, where you had like .com 1.0 people.
Yeah.
Like the people who were there since before the internet, right? Like the dial
up and like first Macs and first designs and like one of my really good friends who is also has been a business partner. We do podcasting together and stuff like that. He started his whole career, John Suter. He started his career at West Coast Video, which was like the competitor to Blockbuster.
Oh yeah, I remember West Coast Video.
He was there to the end, so he was the one who designed all the posters. Like, but that was the whole days of that, right? Like designing, still on like actual magazines that people had. Yeah. Then out of school, because of that, and then in school, I ran ACM, which became the largest organization on campus, the Association for Community Machinery, which is kind of weird when you combine technology people with business people. Usually those chapters are really tiny. We're one of the biggest, and we're probably at some point we're the biggest organization on campus. So like it's like one of those like just building things, right?
What made it so popular? How did it like?
Well, multiple reasons. One, most associations or more kind of things on campus are very driven by national programs, right? Whereas ACM, nobody really like, the business kids like the Sherms and like all that, they're driven by that. We just happen, the weird combination at Temple, we had business kids with technology people and we like combine them all. So you have a whole bunch, like you have business kids running an association. You kind of start doing those kind of things and running companies, like a company basically. And we had no real restriction on us. They were just happy like we're building something. So we just went crazy with stuff from parties to we literally had no restrictions on us, so we could do it. The fun part of that not being restricted, all the other associations hanged out with us a lot of times. So it'd be popular. What kind of building were you doing? What kinds of creations did you make? Not creations, it was just more of like having networking events, having we could go to a bar and not serve alcohol because we could do a deal with a bar for under 18, but take the money off the door as a thing and have people in there. So it's the hustle part of that, trying to figure out how to build something like that. So that's kind of where most of my stuff comes from. You cut your teeth as a community builder and organizer and gatherer there, I guess. For most of, started pretty much in high school, but What were you doing in high school? So in high school, started the first, we remember, there's the, it's like the first business, I don't remember the organization name, but it's like the Future Leaders of America. That's where, Business Leaders of America, right? We didn't have a chapter, so we started one. Who's we? You and your friends? People who were like friends. So we started it to the point where like we ran it. Did the whole candy selling to raise money to do all that, got into all those, and then what's cool about that is there's competitions, so resume writing, debate, those kind of thing. First year I did it my senior year. First year we won like 3/4 of the events, which was one of the funniest because you guys just scraped it together out of nowhere. Now you're like let's throw stuff at the wall, let's kicking butt. The belief of like let's just go do planning. Listen, this business wise, it's like try things, like you're trying this show, see if it works, right? Like go with that. So high school to college was that, and then just went from there trying to work the things. That's neat. I feel like you can probably see in younger folks in their teenage years those hints that they're going to become entrepreneurs and leaders, because you can't help it. No, it's also listen. I didn't grow up with money either, so it's like you have that little bit in you. You know what I mean? Plus the immigrant thing, like that's just built in, like naturally. You gotta work hard, and I get a lot of the stuff from my parents. Like they're great. My dad was always hardworking. My mom was more entrepreneurial, just trying to survive, basically. So you get a lot of that. So it's nature, nurture. If you have that nature, but you don't nurture it, then it just goes away. I feel like the Eastern European industriousness combined with, like American opportunity has got to be such a cool combo. I grew up in communism. You had no choice but to survive. You literally didn't. Like you had that, right? Like I grew up at the end of communism, but like I still know it. I still know what that was. Well, and the culture of it was around everyone you grew up with, even after technically it went away. I look at it as I was lucky because I grew up in a big ass city, like in the middle of the city. So I got that. I always loved cities. This is why like New York was attractive, that Philly is attractive. But you still understand like standing in line for a piece of meat and you only have a coupon for this much meat. Like you have those like things, right? So you kind of get used, like figure those things out and kind of work with your way of like from nothing, basically, right? So you get handed a little bit of things. Like, all right, let's go do. I've been knocking around in my head this phrase that is not new, but it has been making the rounds recently. Hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. Fair.
And just thinking about kind of like, well, I grew up in good times, and I feel like, I don't know, is my generation, kind of the weak men leading to the hard times? There's a lot of different ways to characterize it, but it's interesting hearing, people who grew up with, a meat ticket, in that era. Just saying, like to know what scarcity really is.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s. I had in Long Island, in like middle class, upper middle class universe. Like scarcity was not something. I had some concept of scarcity, but it was not real scarcity.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like things like I came here with no language skills. I got thrown to school to figure it out. Like, you kind of get hardened by that a little bit, right? You just kind of figure stuff out as you go.
How old were you?
I was 12.
You were 12 when you came to the States. And had you learned any English?
Like 5 words. I knew 5.
Were they all dirty words? Or?
No, I mean, I took. So it's funny. I took some English classes. Like that was the whole point. My parents lived here for a while. Like it's one of those you kind of have to. But in reality, the best way to learn is the way I did it. My parents threw me in Catholic school for 2 years. And then they were working all the time. So they made sure I had English nonstop. So it was like, it is forced. There's no
immersion.
So it's full immersion, right? I have a Philly accent and I don't have a Polish accent. Right?
Yeah.
Most people are like surprised, they're like, oh my God.
I wouldn't.
It's because like also my parents didn't live in the Polish neighborhood at all. They were outside of Philly. Philly has a big Polish neighborhood. Like in New York, you have Greenpoint, Philly, you have Port Richmond. That was just a big thing. My parents didn't live around that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that like, sort of crutch of like, I always could go there. Right.
Right. Yeah. So you weren't even living around other people who spoke, you were totally
forced,
totally in.
Yeah. So for 2 years you get immersed. Right. And then like all of a sudden you're like, here I am. This is what it is.
How's your Polish now?
Good when I speak it. My parents
still got it.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm at my parents, like we do speak it all the time. Like that's just given, right? Having those two things is a good thing.
So I want to just completely focus on Poland for a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally fine.
Because I am very interested in culture and tradition and the way that people foster a sense of family and home and community and belonging in different cultural contexts. Because what I realized many years ago, I was doing an interview on a different podcast with a guy who runs a co-working space in Buenos Aires. And he was asking me about this loneliness problem in America. And he was saying like, what's the deal with you guys and being lonely? Like, what's the deal with that? What do you mean? Like, it's not a problem with you guys? He says, no, we have the opposite problem. We wish we had more time to ourselves. He said, my family, we have like 3 generations living in the same building on top of each other. People are in and out of each other's doors all the time. I realized that this loneliness epidemic that we're experiencing is not universally distributed. I'm sure it's not just America, but that there are probably different kinds of cultural and social dynamics that contribute to whether a given group of people feel lonely or not. And it just makes me think that we here going through this crisis probably could benefit from learning from other cultures and their traditions. So you kind of get where like I'm framing this.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it on a Granger level, right? Almost every immigrant culture has this. People live longer together and around each other, take care of their older people. Like that's the whole community thing, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's Poland, if it's Armenia, if it's Spanish, like it's all there.
Yeah.
Yes, there's differences of how that happens, but for the most part, you have it there. Here, I think it comes down to think about how many people here say, "Oh, at 18, you got to go." That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like in most of those places.
Yeah.
1, because culturally it doesn't happen. But 2, a lot of these places were poor. So you're not going to go and find a new place. You're going to live with your parents or not. Or you can always come back. Like I know, even at the age I am, I can go home.
Yeah.
Like, if something happens, I can. Like there's always space. Sure. Right. And that's kind of like, that's ingrained in all of us, when you come from an immigrant. Here, it's like, oh, you got to go. Like at 18 later. right? So there's like a weird disconnect. Now I'm saying that's everybody, but for the most part, it doesn't come down that way.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes from. So like that's the Granger side of that.
Yeah. And then in terms of the Polish culture in general, whether when you were living there or what you brought over here, what how do folks kind of in the culture that you grew up in belong to each other? Like how do they foster a sense
full Eastern European, every single Eastern European has the same things, right?
Okay.
Like
tell me about
family. It's always been family. It's about family. It's very strong, right?
Most important holidays.
It's a Catholic country.
It's all the Catholic. So all the Catholic stuff.
Catholic.
Okay, yeah,
very Catholic.
Yep.
90% Catholic, basically. Yep. Maybe not, but like a lot of Catholicism. Now, Poland's interesting in itself because if you look at it, it has a weird history. A country went, size up and down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
World War II happened. That's a whole
weird history.
Thing.
Weird history is an understatement. Yeah.
Yeah. So they always done that. And it's also an interesting time after sort of what led me to leave. It's kind of like the whole solidarity thing. There's whole push for that. Poland's becoming a lot stronger now too. So it's like a weird small little country, but like it has expanded. It's small down. So yeah, I think culture, it's like any Eastern European country, very family oriented, kind of togetherness. Everybody's very, very about the holidays. Holidays are easy. I mean, Christmas Eve is always one of the biggest, and then Easter. What I mean? That's the two big things.
Right. And was Christmas, I grew up like purely in mega materialistic like universe of American Christmas, even though like I grew up Catholic, so we went to church, we did that, but like what was Christmas for you guys?
Christmas is not gifts. I mean, technically the gift stuff comes from Saint Nick, right?
Yeah.
And that's December 6th.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So that's beforehand. So we always had that as the whole gifting thing.
Was earlier, December 6th.
Yeah, because it's all about Saint Nick, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Christmas is Jesus and all that, right? So technically Christmas Eve is the biggest.
Okay.
So Italians have 7 fishes. We have Vigilia, which is our thing. It's not meat. It's 12 dishes. It's very particular. There's an order to this stuff. We don't do that this way anymore. Like we kind of combine it all. Yeah. But that's the whole family thing. And then you go midnight mass.
What is Vigilia?
Which is like Italian 7 fishes.
Yeah.
Same feast.
It's same feast. Like fish. It's different.
It's just we do it a little differently. There's fish, but there's no meat. There's all fish. There's a whole bunch of different courses, but it's the same idea of that, right? And then you go midnight mass. That's the whole like Catholic, and then Christmas is spending with family. That's kind of how it goes. Because it's a high holiday type of thing. Yeah.
And does your family have like maybe specific traditions to them, like a signature dish that you would bring to things?
I mean, there's a whole section of what those 12 dishes should be. So there's soups and there's fish and the different fish and stuff like that. Yeah. We kind of stick with the things we like now.
Okay.
So it's like back in the day, because it was cheap, it used to be carp, which is not the greatest fish. It's fatty and whatever. We use salmon, there's herring, there's a whole bunch of little things that are very particular.
We forced ourselves to eat lasagna and then turkey in separate, it was like, and all the fixins and all the sides. And at some point we're like, what are we doing? Like we and then dessert, like a big dessert.
Yeah, like, you do desserts, and then now it's kind of like you do gifts afterwards after the whole meal, and you're like, it's a whole thing. So we do gifts on Christmas Eve, not Christmas. Sure. It's a whole thing. So it's definitely has changed over the years. Like we're not little anymore. But yeah, it used to be. I remember when I was like, my grandparents used to do the whole 12 things in a row, and it's fun because like if you think about the 12 things over a night, you can kind of slowly eat them.
Yeah,
we just pick a few things we like.
So a little bit of a what's the Chinese phrase I'm forgetting, where you get little bits of things and
yes, now we're both forgetting.
Yeah.
Crap.
I've had it. I've had it multiple times. Anyway, but dim sum, yeah.
Yes,
dim sum.
there it is.
So brain fart, right? Is like dim sum. So and any other like maybe like Poland specific traditions or holidays or things that were, like outside of the Catholic sphere?
No, it's mostly. I mean, it's always about the Catholic. I mean, that was the whole. The country's very Catholic. I mean,
Jesus is a big deal,
and John Paul was,
Oh, sure.
JP2 was
JP2 was a big deal. I'm sure there was a lot of.
He started the year I was born. So he started in 79.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pope John Paul II was an icon. Nobody's topped him yet in our era, I think.
Yeah. I mean, last one was good.
He was cool. I liked him.
I think the new Pope is interesting that he's an American.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Pope stuff and the way they pick him right now, if you kind of go back a little bit, is they pick him for the moment that is needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, JP2 was very open. He was still conservative, but he was open a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the whole, the Cold War thing going on, like how that was happening. So that was like the perfect timing too. So you have kind of a weird moment. An American Pope is interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially because he's not just American, right? He's like technically American, but he's lived in other places. And, but it's cool that he speaks English,
which is like throws everybody off, right?
Yeah. Somebody said that it's actually kind of a disadvantage because it like there was a mystique to the Pope that didn't speak English because it's like he's speaking languages that you don't know.
JP2 did.
There was this like mystery to them.
Yeah, but JP2, like if you think about it, he spoke like 17 languages at some point. So you had that going.
Yeah.
The last one, I think he had some English. I think he knew a little bit, but it wasn't. But it was that whole mystique of like this Granger thing, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's like from Chicago. That bears.
Picture of him at a White Sox game and stuff.
Yeah, or like just next to Mike Ditka.
He is a bro. Yeah, I love it. Love it. Well, maybe it'll make him relatable. We'll see.
Maybe.
But okay, so one last thing while I'm on this Poland kick, and family. Do you guys do family crests or any kind of like family heritage tradition or storytelling of the ancestors,
kind of
the lore?
We never did. But there's some of it, like, the city I grew up in, Stettin, which is it's a port city on the border of Germany. At some point it was like German, not German. It was just kind of all over the place. We had a castle. So Poland was not young. We had castles and there's whole histories there. Krakow has an amazing castle. Warsaw is interesting, has a castle, but a lot of Warsaw got destroyed during the war, so it's a lot more newer. But if you're Krakow, you have a lot more history to it. So there's crests there. They're there. They're kind of interconnected. We never did. I also have, my last name is actually a very traditional Polish name, which is really weird because I have a ski on it.
I was going to ask about it next.
Frost.
And is it Frost?
Yeah.
Frost. Cool name. So not shortened.
Not shortened. It is proper Polish name. It means Mroz. Jason Mraz is actually the same name too. He just happened to be the Czech spelling of it.
Huh.
It's actually Czechs. M-R-A-Z. M-R-O-Z. Yeah.
Right. Frost.
Same name. Yeah, it's Frost.
Frost. Very cool. So there's no like family crest or like stories.
Yeah, not that I don't know of. I mean, we kind of have there's weird connection all over the place, but never was into that side of it.
I kind of want. So my family has a crest, which I don't understand, but there's a wolf. There's like a seesaw kind of thing, like you would see like the Justice Lady holding like the balance, and I don't know what it means, but it looks cool as hell. And I'm so happy about that. I just love the idea of there being this connection and this lore.
Yeah.
That there at some point somebody sat down and was like, we're going to come up with a brand for our family.
Yeah.
Like our family's going to have colors and symbols, and our family's crest is going to be next to your family's crest on Town Hall. Which
that goes to those ages of kings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
because
so.
Like
yeah,
the combination of
fiefdoms.
I mean, you have the crest of this, crest of that, combination of the things. Like that's just come from Middle Ages and like that kind of world completely.
I feel like we need more. I feel like it would be cool from let's make some more family crests.
I mean, you can. A lot of people just have them, right? Because this country is all immigrants, right?
Well, I think it would be cool if we had a greater sense of family lore and history, and like I don't want to lean too much into the brand side of it, but like that we could have some image or symbol associated with our lineage that we can then like, hey, if in my house, I should be able to hang the flag with like my Bacigalupo family crest,
Yep.
but with my wife's maiden name family crest, and like like it would be it would be cool to have like the representation of the different families that are in this household, or on this block, or in this city, or whatever it is.
Which is kind of funny, going back to the way we kind of got here, is like the whole family thing, right? Like, to get to this point, right? This country is young. It's 250 years old. Like, you don't have that, right?
Yeah.
And in reality, like, these combinations of families, and you look at your ancestry, it's there, right? Like, if you go back to it, you have those crests.
Yeah.
This is also like the whole community thing, right? It's building that, right?
And now we have avatars. Now we have profile pictures.
Right. Yeah. But it's this country just had, it doesn't have that community, a lot of that feel.
Sure. Because it's too new to have had those roots in like the feudal era and things like that.
Right. Because it's young. The roots are still all over the place, all over the globe, if you think about it. Yeah. Right. Like, the only thing is, like, American Indians or Native Americans, like, that have been here, they had that, right? Yeah. They had some of that, because it's this tribe or this tribe or this tribe, right? Yeah. That's the combo, like, that's the crest, right? Yeah. And they had that kind of like,
I'm sure, I'm sure, and they had certainly lots of symbology and imagery, and it's funny because we appropriated a lot of that for like the names of our cities and things,
right? I mean, how many cities here in Connecticut you have, right?
It's everything. Well, and I grew up in Long Island. Long Island is like all Native American names. I grew up in
half of Philly or PA. It's all Native, right? Every single name is all over the place.
Yeah,
yeah. So I think there's that.
One day I might do an event where we make family crests as a family, as an activity, even just to say like, hey, what would you put on your family crest to honor the tradition and the history of your ancestors and what you want to represent for your family. Yeah. Just as a thought exercise, like, I think it would be really interesting to have, like, have your kids, your parents, whatever, weigh in on, if your family doesn't have a crest, what would you put on it and why? And
I'll put a snowman.
Yeah. I see you've put a lot of thought into this. I'm gonna you're in charge for a second. I gotta plug this in.
I'm in charge a second. He's plugging stuff in, which is kind of hilarious. Did you forget to charge stuff?
No, it's just that this because I'm streaming and apparently with two cameras.
Oh, your laptop is not a happy camper. Okay, that's fair.
All right.
This is not live or anything, I podcast. I do production of podcasting for a very long time.
Tell us about it.
Been doing it for years, so I can do the post-production stuff.
live it's all stuff. Coming out in post.
It's always coming in post and changing stuff. Actually, about to write a whole ebook or a whole book around podcasting in bars.
Podcasting in bars?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come to, we've known each other from way back, but there's kind of a
bit of
a gap.
Yeah, there's a gap.
So we got a little bit of catch up on why are you in a position to write such a book?
So been doing podcasting since before I was podcasting, right? Always been interested in it. Had multiple shows over the years. When I was
Did you do radio?
We did a whole bunch of stuff. When podcasting started kind of becoming a thing before it got named. Remember Adam Curry actually named it podcasting. That was a whole thing. Just got always interested in it. I don't know why. I don't know. I liked it. It was whatever it is. So I've been in it since like the first things where it was like you couldn't really upload things and MP3, like a whole bunch of stuff, right? Then after Indie Hall started Sumo Heavy, which was my agency for doing e-commerce. At some point, what's it called? Anchor, that Spotify just bought not long ago, whatever. Anchor came out.
Yep.
And we're like, let's try something. So my creative director and I, John, just said, all right, screw it. Let's record something. We end up doing 5 times a week show for 3.5 years, 800 odd episodes, sponsored as a branding exercise for the company. Talking about e-commerce.
What did you talk about 5 times? I could barely fill an hour a week.
We do it 5 times a week because we are insane.
Yeah.
It started as just talking about, it's basically one piece of article a day, it started that way. And then we kind of produced it and did all stuff. So it kind of was awesome. We still have people contacting us. Like, we haven't done the show in 5 years. People are still asking for it. We've done multiple other shows, but always been around it. Started producing my own show for agencies. Then I started doing shows for other people, including our company. We have a podcast. So my company got bought, acquired about 18 months ago, almost 2 years ago. And the current company, we have a podcast twice a month, but they tried to do one live at a conference. They didn't have to do with it. I was like, I got it. Not a lot of equipment, have small mics enough. Like, this is a lot of equipment. I kind of know how to do this outside of that.
Yeah.
Record it on a phone because it shoots 4K just fine. And it started coming out great. Got the sound down, got it down. And then we started doing that. And then my buddy had a show beforehand. He wanted to restart it. He started doing interviews with people, called Story in a Bottle, in a bar. So we started doing that.
Story in a Bottle. It's good.
Story in a Bottle. It's amazing. So we had a whole bunch of awesome guests over the last
year.
And
that was just like talking to men on the street kind of thing?
No, it was at a bar. It's actually at Fool's Gold, right?
Okay.
On Houston.
Yeah.
So you know where that is. So my buddy Dan has the show. He did it for a long time and then stopped. It was just an audio one, and I was like, "We're shooting video. I want a video." So we did black and white because it was fun. It was in a bar, trying to figure out how to do sound without a crowded bar type of thing. And it's a story about that person with whatever they like to drink.
Okay.
Story in a Bottle.
Yeah.
I was on it at one point. So it's kind of fun.
And it wasn't industry. It wasn't like,
it's not industry. It's across the board.
It's a
human thing, but there's like between news people to actors to comedians to musicians to across the board.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty famous people on it too, which was kind of fun.
If you pick the right bar, you could get some real interesting folks coming through.
I mean, it was we actually invited, like, it was it's a whole structure to it. We probably will restart it again. But we did it there and started shooting that way. And between the company stuff and this, and figure out how to do noise canceling really well on site or post production and actually shooting in real time or real things, not in the studio, has been interesting to me completely. I think one of the next shows I would love to do is like just a bar and you sit, and talk like this, like in a bar or in a park bench, or just being real about it. You know what I mean? Like, studios are fine. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
But like, I like the idea of not only being geeky about how can I make the equipment as small as possible with the best performance, to just a real conversation and, coffee or whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we have those conversations all the time.
Yeah.
And like with people we know.
Sure.
I like those things.
Yeah. You have, I feel like you open yourself up to whatever the world has to offer. And there's just so many interesting people, interesting stories just walking past you every day.
Yeah. I mean, we're human, right? Human interaction. Like, we're talking about.
Speak for yourself. No, I'm kidding.
What you said, like the whole loneliness thing.
Yeah.
That's a cure.
Yeah.
Go do something about it. Like, I think half of me goes, listen, I moved up here for my like family reasons and stuff like that. It's kind of funny that you live here. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden I have found my people.
Happened. Yeah.
But also, like, I made friends with my neighbors. Right? Yeah. They live below me. Like, they're younger than me, but I made friends with them. But
how'd that happen?
Just met them, like, hey, and then it was just like a whole conversation, right? But that's the same thing you do.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole idea of,
I call it out because you and I do it, but I know that we sometimes overlook that we do something that other people maybe have to deliberately try to do or learn to do.
I mean, I get stuck sometimes where I'm like, I get like sensitive about it, where I'm like, I'm not introverted, but have tendencies of introversion, right? I'm like, I just want to have I get power from like people, right? But I need moments of like by myself. I need to moment that. And if you do that too much, like it gets kind of thing. But snap yourself out. Just talk to anybody, like just a coffee person next to you. Like, all that kind of stuff happens, right? Who cares? Nobody cares. The funny part, I think the funny part about And I think one of the best people that does that sometimes is our buddy Jesse, right? He will talk to anybody. He knows a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
But you do it, I do it. It's more of, I think everybody thinks this, like, nobody's going to bite you. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, there's something. Sometimes.
I lived in New York. Some people will bite you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think New York just makes you like do it more. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody's human. Like when I mean everybody's human, like I think everybody has that thought. It was like, oh my God, I can't talk to this person. What happened? What if?
Yeah.
Okay. What if something good happens?
Yeah.
Everybody has that what if bad happens.
I've had so many good stories in New York City of like, and I've been this person on both sides of it where, you know, I'm lost or I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. And I'll stop somebody who's just walking by and they've got their, you know, New York City stone face on. And you expect they're going to be like, oh, I don't have time for you. And they're like, oh, you're trying to find X. Oh, yeah, actually, go. Like they become a human.
But then they leave, right?
Yeah.
But that's New York. That's a very typical New York thing.
Yeah.
We got things to do. We got places to go. But stop any New Yorker, like a true New Yorker, not true, like a person that has been living there. We're all going to show you where to go or how to get there and like avoid this, avoid that. I got to go though. I won't chit chat with you.
Yeah.
Right. Like the whole idea, and it's been like in the whole context of, you know, Northeastern, especially Northeasterners, like New Yorkers, Boston, like North Philly.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind, but not nice.
Yeah.
Like where the West Coast people are nice, but not kind. Right.
Yeah.
Like
fake nice.
We will all help you change your tire, but we will curse you out while doing it.
Yeah, right.
The first ones to do it, like all those little things, but that's nuance to it, right?
Yeah.
Like New York is like that.
Yeah.
So is Philly. So is like, you know, it's very community. If you ask for things, people will help you.
Yeah.
And like I think for me, it's like people who have the what if something bad happens. It's like you need to change that.
Yeah.
What if something good happens?
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
What if?
Or like I feel like we kind of fall into like, well, what if nothing happens? Because that's what tends to be the case. Is that we don't talk to anybody, and then nothing happens, and then what do we do every single night? Is we ignore Netflix while we're scrolling on our phones by ourselves.
Right.
It's like,
I have Netflix
well, this
going on,
sucks.
something playing. Oh, I'm still showing TikTok, right? Like, what am I doing? But like the you know, listen, the human connection. People are communal.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just
it's under nature.
It is our nature. And like, the more you fight against it, you know, you can be introverted and have those moments. Right. And I feel like it's funny you started this comment. I'm just thinking out loud now. It's kind of like the whole loneliness thing. Is it just people not like online world, just killing it?
Mm-hmm.
Like the human connection in small, like I was excited to move here before I even knew you were here. Right. Like, and then I knew you're here and then we met for coffee and I was like, oh my God, I found my people anyway, but I would have done that anyway.
Yeah.
Without that.
It's just a matter of time.
It just makes it, well, it makes it easier, but like that, having that moment, like it's there.
Yeah.
But say hi to people. Just say hi. Nobody's going to bite you. Like, I think, and that goes also for me, like, just don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Like at an airport or like baristas or anybody, just be nice.
Yeah.
You get so much more
good
done.
things tend to happen. I mean, you know, when my wife and I came here, we didn't know anybody. And it was only just by doing that we have come to know people over time. And part of it was, you know, Eco Evolution, the cafe that you and I met up at. You know, it had a very gregarious cafe owner. So he did a lot of the heavy lifting, but like, you know, I wasn't afraid to chit chat with him. And if he said like, hey, you should go talk to that guy over there, he's working on some interesting thing. You know, he's like introducing me to people just by virtue of me being willing to be introduced, being available, making myself open to it. And what I found is that the reason this show is called You Are Invited is because I think that's the moment where things really change, when somebody invites somebody to do something and it's hard to say no. It's easy to say yes. And it's like, so you start to crack things open and things start to happen.
Well, I mean, it goes back to like the co-working spaces, right? Like Indie Hall happened like because a whole bunch of people, Alex was like, I want to meet people. And then we kind of got like people just met. Before that, I didn't know any of those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just didn't.
Yeah.
But like, the first day I met you, I met Jesse. And Jesse and I been friends ever since. You know what I mean? Like, and that went into a different world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more of like, you have to be open to the opportunity and not what if nots.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesse Middleton rocking things in New York right now in the,
way,
in the VC world.
It's Tech Week this week.
It's Tech Week. Oh yeah.
You know how that goes.
He's not listening to the show right now. He's busy.
No, I mean, you and I have been to Tech Week, and it's like one of those, like, so I have to go tomorrow for something. And people are like, "You gonna be here?" I'm like, "Nope." No. I think back in the day, like, you can go back to things, and it's like back in the day was great. Some things are like, do we commercialize this way too far?
It happens. But you and Alex, you mentioned Alex Hillman. Shouts to Alex Hillman. How did you meet Alex? How did that all come about? I
don't even remember how that happened. I think it might have been PANMA days, and somebody introduced me to him, and then introduced me to Johnny Bilata at some point. I think we all started running in the same. Like, Philly was an interesting town, very tech heavy with agency people.
Yeah. It's circa 2006, 2005, 2006.
Yeah, I mean, like through that's PANMA days in agency world is it's like our favorite bar, National Mechanics, and it was owned by Web. Wow, I don't even forget Jason and Darren.
Yeah.
I know those guys because the company I used to work for that did the PAF system was sold to them. So I met them through them, supposed to work there. So that was like a whole weird connection. But Philly is such a smallest town in the world. So tech was heavy there. So everybody kind of ran in the same circles. So ran against each other for some point. We started doing the San Francisco had the Jelly sessions. Remember those?
Jelly was started in New York, and then
New York.
Amit moved to San Francisco, so he expanded it there, and myself and another guy took over in New York.
Yeah, so we ran it with it. We called it Cream Cheese Sessions, because
of course,
cream cheese. Did it cafes, bars, places, including my house, like, and then it just went from there. And then eventually it was like, let's open it.
So wait, did you? I actually, obviously I am a big co-working historian.
Yep.
And Cream Cheese Sessions are some of the formative moments.
Yeah.
Can you take us deeper into, okay, you called it cream cheese. Who called it cream cheese? When? Were you in the room when that was decided? Like, what was the conversation?
It was because we're like, well, it's jelly. Great. This is Philly. Let's name it something. You know, maybe something different.
Where were you? Who was in the room?
Alex was there. I think Bilata was there.
You were at a bar?
We were at a coffee place. Yes. I'm thinking about this. Off of South Street in a coffee house. I don't remember the name. Rouse Duffy was there. Like, I'm trying to remember. I have a picture of this somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I know exactly where. Like, I know who was there. Like, I have a picture of this. And I think one of us said something about, like, I love the idea of, like, you know, have jam sessions. Same thing. The idea of sessions, like the whole music session thing. And I think that's how it played about the cream cheese sessions thing.
And then what happened next? Was you guys picked a date? You picked a venue?
We picked a day, and we started like, we just sat there. I think there was like 7 of us in
National Mechanics.
No, National was later. I think one of the last ones before we opened the space was National, I believe. But we did a coffee house first. Another one we did at my house at one point. We just kind of bounced around for a little bit.
How did you spread the word? How did you?
Alex was really good at that.
Was there an RSVP? Was there a wiki, a blog post?
I think there was a blog. I mean, it was 07.
We had the internet. I mean,
but, like, if you think about it, like, so we like the day we opened. At some point, it was took to like find a space. We found a space. Jeff Demasi was part of that. Like, Alex and Jeff owned it. As one of the first members. The first day was us. You were there. Gary V was there doing his wine show
with a bunch of champagne that he brought down from New York. I rode down with him and a few other wonderful people.
Who's that? Tara and Chris were there.
Yeah.
Chris Messina was there.
Tara Hunt and Chris Messina.
But that was the whole internet, the basic internet days, right? It was just like connecting with people in that first or second go around, right? Because like the first was like the pets.com era, the .com era.
This was the 2.0 era where we were starting to get web apps. We had just started. we had Facebook, we had MySpace, we were just starting to get Twitter. I started using Twitter in 2007.
Twitter.
I think
It was Twitter with the green
Twitter,
thing.
Yeah.
It was still text messaging when we did that.
Text message based.
It was text message based.
That's right. Yeah, that's why it's 140.
Yeah,
140 characters. But yeah, so it turned out to be this like really wild room full of people.
Yeah, that day was interesting, right? And like, shout out to Jesse. Jesse went into doing WeWork, which was a whole. At some point that happened, right? You kind of went into doing New York City. People kind of started their own, but like Indie Hall still runs as a pure. I think it's the only pure community-based coworking space still. I mean, you shut yours down, so
I mean, there are newer ones.
There's newer ones, but the longest running,
dating back to 2007, no,
it's the longest running, and I think it's still one of the purest.
There are yes, and that purity. I mean, that's something. I could do many episodes just on Alex Hillman, but one of the things that Alex has always been so committed to is the integrity, the values. The reason that you're in the room, like, you're never going to see like, Regis acquires Indie Hall, like he will burn it to the ground, before he lets something bad happen to it like that.
I've been around WeWork since they had one floor, like I understand that world and I get where it went, right? Great idea. But it became something different than what it was, right?
Yeah.
It's a modern Regis, basically.
Yeah.
But Regis still exists as a thing.
Sure.
WeWork still exists in its whatever thing. Industrial, like all these other things popped up. I think the funny thing is I was just reading an article, somebody was talking about there's a weird resurgence in coworking space in the community-based stuff, but not really community, like the smaller size. Meaning all these coworking spaces, besides the fiasco about, being funded and stuff like that. I think a lot of companies started using coworking spaces as places for expansion and things like that and having offices, stuff like that. And rightfully so, I guess, it's a business. So people were trying, JP Morgan, had a space for 20 people or 30 people or 100 people in a coworking space. Obviously it's a good business for them, right?
Sure.
But I think there's a resurgence of the in-between, not a community thing. Because a lot of community ones are like, it's great, it's fun, but you need a little more space, right? But nobody has like I need 2 desks. I want 1 desk. I want that in between type of thing. And I think there's some surgeons there.
Yeah.
But not corporate funded, but just like a smaller space, like still professional, right? Because there's a lot of people that want that Indie Hall feel.
Yeah.
But some people just want a space to get out of their house, but also have a little bit more private space, have one of those, right? So like the in-between is something.
Yeah. There's still, I feel like the story of coworking has not reached its mature final shape yet.
I don't think so.
We all knew it was going to take a long time for it to play out.
Yeah.
We had no idea, how it was going to go, but there is a final, there's an end game here, I think, in terms of a sustainable model. And part of it is just that, the way that everything works is changing and all of that. But,
well, I mean, companies going to return to office, which is interesting. It's its own kind of headache, right?
Yeah.
Like good or bad. Companies have the right to do whatever they want.
Sure.
Some of it, like I know, like, my company's based out of Rochester. I'm not going there. But didn't really matter because that's how my company would bought. We're global. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
Is there, like, talking about return to office? I think for people like me who have been in professional world for a while now, pretty seasoned, I don't need to return to office. I think for straight out of college, younger people, I think there's some of it, especially if you're going into finance and banking. This kind of where the professional world. I think there's some of that you need to have a little bit of a learning thing, the osmosis thing. The problem with that is if people like me are not back, the youngsters are going to get the osmosis part of it.
Sure.
Right?
And so the upper folks are the ones most likely to stay home.
Right. So you have this like weird, like what's next? So I think the next few years is going to be interesting for people to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here in Norwalk, still, I'm still trying to get a feel for it in terms of, you know, the workspace world and shared space, things like that.
Yeah, I wonder. It's funny because we've talked about the first time we were like, because we can't help it, we talk about it. And it was funny because you just looked at a space.
Yeah,
kind of.
it's true. Yeah. No, I had on Washington Street.
I'm like, here we go again.
Yeah.
It's more of, I think, like, you know, we're close to Stanford.
Yeah.
I don't know if Stanford has anything.
It does. Yeah, it has some. I mean, it's not nothing's Indy Hall, but
no,
you know,
I'm saying
yeah,
just like
there's
what's the
spaces.
like? What's the in between, right?
Yeah.
Is there space? Is there not space? Is there a need?
Well, and that's the thing. So I posted on the Norwalk subreddit asking if Norwalk needs a co-working space. And the answers that I got as a, you know, fairly anonymous figure on this was very interesting to me as, you know, as a longtime co-working guy. You know, what does it look like to test the waters for a new space where there isn't one in 2025 in a small city?
Right.
First response would totally be down for a nice co-working space. I go to third place in Stanford every so often, and it's fun, but I wish we had something out here. Third place, shout out to them, beautiful space and a good place to work. I would start by running this idea by an existing space like Space Cat. And then I got, there's one person who basically has tried some of these other, like, technically they're called co-working spaces, but they're like workspaces inside of new developments where they technically are co-working. And he says, I don't think many people in Norwalk are overly interested in paying for co-working spaces. Could just be there's not enough people who actually live nearby.
Yeah, so when I was looking for spaces, there's the apartments on right by the train station.
Mm-hmm.
They have a co-working space inside of it.
Right. I think that's what he was referring to, the platform.
Yeah. I mean, listen, way to test that out, I think, is going back to old school jelly and cream scene sessions. But it's like, let's do it Space Cadet. Let's go. No, I'm like serious. Like, do it at Space Cadet. Do it at 314. The 314?
314 Beer Garden. Yeah.
I actually know this stuff now. Do it at the beer garden. Just have, hey guys, we're gonna come in. Let us work from 8 to 12 before you open. You don't have to serve us, and then we'll stay around. Like old school way we used to do it at National Mechanics. Like hang out, work. Just having like a networking thing, and then see what happens. Like especially when summer's coming.
Yep.
You be outside, do all that kind of stuff. So I think there's, and then
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what I tell people who want to start co-working spaces all the time over the years is, hey, don't put yourself in a position where you're paying rent until you have a really good reason to believe that people are going to pay you to work there.
Right. But that also goes for everything.
Sure.
For podcasting, that goes for any business you start. That goes for everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like we know how to do this. Like the whole idea of that. Do you have enough people to pay you?
Yeah.
And I think people get in trouble when they don't do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's tried and true way to get in trouble.
Like planning and over planning and more planning. Till that person first pays you, you don't know.
Yeah.
You just
just don't know. And I explain that to people too, that like there's you can validate, like if we can do a co-working meetup somewhere and people start showing up, that's great. But then the crossover into paying customers, what's interesting is you will have the sliver of people who do crossover, who are like the diehard community, people like you and Johnny and, Dave Martirana or whatever. But most of those people actually don't convert because what they wanted was the free cafe thing.
Right.
But now this new audience of people comes in who do show up out of the woodwork, who didn't want that, but do want this. And you didn't realize you were building this network of potential customers until you give them a chance to pay you.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to go into paid space. You could be just literally running once a month or twice a month running, actually I was just thinking about that coffee shop in the art space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a fun place.
Yep.
The museums, like any one of those things. Like imagine doing a session at the aquarium.
In the aquarium.
Oh,
they have a beautiful eating area, cafeteria area. So.
And there's just like that, like doing a week. It's not that busy during a week. I mean, that'd be kind of fun to just do it would be interesting to talk to like Norwalk as in like the association, like all those kind of things and go, hey, we're doing this. professionals who are in town, let's do it, and do it on a Friday because people work from home. People don't go in the city.
Well, the Silent Book Club folks here in Norwalk have been rotating venues quite a bit, and I feel like it's a nice way to build a network too, is to reach out and start these relationships with the people who manage these spaces, and that that creates its own opportunities.
Yeah, and I think all of us want to get out of the house and then just be in a coffee shop, right? Like I go to city once or twice a week or every other week or stuff like that's, by the way, getting to the city from here is glorious. It is glorious. I love it. It is like an easy shot, right? But you still want yesterday I was home all day. You know what I mean? So
we need a little
variety.
Yeah, need to bring it back. Cool. So Bart, for those of us who tune into this or watch the replay, how do folks find you if we want to find you on the internet?
I am on the socials, and my name is really easy to find. It's Bart Mroz on everything.
BARTMROZ.
That's right.
Mroz, not like Mraz, but
Mr. Oz,
but Polish instead of Czech.
That's right.
There you go. Bart, thanks so much for taking the time. It is 6:00 p.m. Eastern time here in Norwalk, Connecticut. You're listening to WFUT. My name's Tony Bacigalupo. You can find me on the internet at Tony Be Good, TonyBgoode. And you will find this show right here on WFUTradio.com every Wednesday at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. And also streaming on my YouTube channel, which is called Belongfulness. So look it up on Belongfulness on YouTube for the video, live streams and replays. So you'll be seeing me back here next week. And if you are in the Norwalk area, bike party every Friday throughout the summer, except for holiday weekends. So check that out as well. And catch you next time.
See ya.
Thanks, Bart.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hang on. I have to start playing the music again. So this is the last little bit that I haven't mastered, is that last transition. All right. Have a lovely day, Norwalk. Get outside.